When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Pakishananta Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that's not a fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion, but even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literature or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God, as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the Supreme Truth, the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of God, simply by speculating, for the Supreme Truth is so great that it is not possible to understand Him or to achieve Him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the Supreme Truth, he will never understand Krishna or the Supreme Truth. Only by devotional service is the Supreme Truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, which just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears, and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be obtained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not to be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. So I repeat the verse again. Tesham evanakampatamam ajnana chamtama nasacham atma bhavastu jnana tipanabhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy the shining lamp of knowledge, darkness born of ignorance. Om Ajnana Timandasya Jnanjana Slakya Saksvam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chitchetaya Manobishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svamupkadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeyam Shiru Shiyuda Padakam Lam Shirum Vaishnavamsha Shirupam Sarisatam Sankanaragnatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sinu Dina Banochyat Pateko Pesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansna Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanashri Vishabham Sutadevi Pranama Haripriya Panchakalpravisham Kripasinvevisham Patnam Bhavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadhikam Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Srinyavati Paskachai Bezatani. So, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is a very significant verse. So how can we end the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease? How can we return to the spiritual world? What is required to do that? That devotion is required. And what Krishna says that in various verses of the Bhagavad Gita, in 1154, said, Bhaktya Fananyasakya Ame Vam Vidoyuna. That if you want to know me, only by bhakti. That going back to the spiritual world means re-establishing our relationship with Krishna. And you cannot re-establish a relationship with someone you don't know. You must know him. That, of course, knowing Krishna, if we know Krishna, we know also our position and our relationship. That, so we heard in the purport of this verse in 11, Srila Prabhupada writes, only by devotional service is the Supreme Truth Krishna pleased. And then by his inconceivable energy he can reveal himself to the heart of the devotee. So the knowledge that leads to devotion, that is realized knowledge. And it's given here by Krishna in this verse. He says, by special mercy. And how to get this special mercy, we heard in the previous verse. Tesham satatayuknam bhatsnam pitapravkam tadami buddhyogantam yena mama priyantite. Tadami I give buddhi yoga, realized knowledge. That so now in this Bhagavad Gita there you have many yogas described. But Krishna says the highest yogi is the Bhakti Yoga. Yoginam apasarvanam madhyantratmam sadabhabhajtemam mam yame yuktatamamata. Highest yogi is one who is united with me in love. Bhakti. So bhakti is required, love for Krishna, to go back to the spiritual world. And all the other yoga systems mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, they do not provide bhakti, devotion. They do not lead to devotion. They are preliminary stages for coming to devotion. So they are incomplete. And that's important. What is the role of all the other yogas in the Bhagavad Gita? They are incomplete. Why? they don't produce devotion. But why are they there? Krishna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvatram Prichya Mamakam Saramvacha, just give them all up. So why are they there? That, everyone is not ready to accept Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is concerned with everyone, on whatever level they are. And that is interesting. Shivaram Maharaj has written this book, Bhaktivedanta Purport. I very much recommend this book. It gives deeper insight in the Gita. But in that book, one of the main points he makes is, if you look at the first yoga Krishna described, Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means action. Karman evadakaraste mahaphileshna kachana. Action, but one is not attached to the results. There's no question of devotion, but one is not attached to the results. One is renounced. It's action and renunciation. This yoga has two qualities, action and one is renounced action. Such renounced action does not produce new karma. So if you do that, it does not imply that you work for Krishna. No, you just do your duty because you have to do your duty. And whatever comes, yes. But I don't do it to get profit for my job. Out of duty. Very difficult to do, but if you can do it, then you won't produce new karma. And you start to become purified. And purified from what? Krishna explains in the 3rd chapter. Lust is the enemy. First enemy. Because if you are lusty, then your desires are not fulfilled, you get angry, you're envious, and so on. That comes all from that. So you become free from that to a certain extent. And what is the effect of this lust on our consciousness? Krishna says, Avitam jnanam etina jnana nityavarina. That it covers our intelligence, our spiritual intelligence. It covers it. So by doing karma yoga, gradually something becomes uncovered. And then when one starts to think, who am I? Why am I in this world? Am I not his body? If I'm not his body, who am I? So interest comes in spiritual life, that questions come. And then one goes to the next yoga, jnana yoga. One wants to understand who I am. I'm different from spirit. I'm not matter. So if I'm not matter, I'm not this gross body, I'm not this subtle body, I'm not this mind, I'm not. Who am I? And one follows the path of jnana yoga. That jnana yoga has also two qualities. It has the quality of renunciation. Like the impersonalists, they want to give everything up. Renunciation and knowledge. Cultivation of knowledge, who am I? But no action anymore. It has only two qualities, renunciation and knowledge. And after giving up sense gratification, which is very difficult, and then renouncing, giving up activities, then one comes to the realization, yes, I'm not this body. But it's good to know I'm not this body, but still the question is, if I'm not this body, who am I? I want to experience who I am. Then one goes to the next yoga. And the next yoga is the yoga of Astanga yoga, or Dhyana yoga. And why is one goes to this next yoga? One wants to experience of being a spirit soul. What is it? Who am I? I want to experience it being a spirit soul. So then one performs Astanga yoga, yama, niyama, niyama, asana, pranayama, atyahara. Then one comes to dhyana, gradually, meditation, and then samadhi. Yes. But this yoga has three qualities. It is renunciation. The yogis are renounced. It is in knowledge that I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body. There is knowledge, so some level of knowledge is there. And meditation, that's the third one. Renunciation, knowledge, and meditation, three qualities. But these qualities are not sufficient to go back to the spiritual world. The yogis go not to the spiritual world, I'm sorry to say. To go to Vaikuntha, you need a passport. That passport is devotion. Otherwise, you stay in a Brahmajyoti or go back to this material world. But what's the ultimate realization of the yogis if they are not deviated from mystic powers? Is yoginam apisarvanam matgatinantaratmanam shadabhabhajteyamam sayayuktatamamata. The highest yogi is one who is united in love with me, in the heart. So they realize at the end, yes, Paramatma, the super soul, controls the material nature. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadaksena Prakriti, I'm controlling material nature, and as a super soul, I'm in the heart of everyone, Krishna says, and I'm supervising and witnessing and giving permission. So they found out the super soul is controlling material nature. Good. What do you do with that realization? You stay in the material world. That you don't get out. But if they are questioning then, this super soul, what's the origin of that? If they then understand that the super soul is an expansion of Krishna, then they take to the path of Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga is called the complete yoga. And for a yoga to be complete, you must have 5 qualities. Action. Devotional service is action, right? Renunciation. It is renunciation because we understand nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to Krishna and is for his service. That. And this knowledge, it's not just the knowledge that I'm not his body, it's knowledge of Krishna, knowledge of us and our relationship with Krishna. And why are we doing devotional service? For Krishna. So it's a constant meditation on Krishna. And if the heart becomes purified, then this devotion, this love develops. It's complete 5. All the others are preliminary stages to come to that, like stairs going up. But why not take direct to Krishna consciousness? But to develop this devotion, you need this Buddha yoga. So this Buddha yoga is the yoga of devotion. And it's given to the heart, to the soul, the super soul in our hearts. The Dharmi Buddha Yoga, and Krishna says, I give you this Buddha Yoga, and Buddha Yoga means not theoretical knowledge, it gives you practical realization. Practical realization. What does it mean, practical knowledge? Krishna explains in the 13th chapter, verse 8 to 12, he says, he gives a whole list and he says, this is knowledge, realized knowledge, and not theoretical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge will not help us. It will not help us. That it's important to understand the difference between this theoretical knowledge, jnana, and the vijnana, the bhakti vijnana, of the practical knowledge. Krishna says, yes, a few examples. The perception of the evil of birth and death, old age and disease. Are we convinced of that? Krishna says in the 3rd chapter, 9.3.13, you Jahya sister Sina Santa Muchanse Sabakilbisha, you offer all your food to me, otherwise you are a stena, a thief, and you get karma. You take birth again. If we are realizing that, then we will never eat anything else than Krishna Prasad. If you eat something what is not offered to Krishna, you are going to take birth again. That is realization. Yes. So, there are many other points, and Srila Prabhupada have long purpose of that, what it means. Renunciation of the objects of sense gratification. What's the realization of that? A devotee sees beautiful things in this world like a beautiful flower. Immediately thinks, oh, let me offer this to Krishna. That's realization, that's realized knowledge. When one does not have realized knowledge, he thinks, oh, that's for me, for my enjoyment. So that's, yes. Also realization means, yes, that detachment, understanding everything in this material world is temporary, soon over. No, it's like someone tells you, oh, I give you £1 million for 1 second. Will you be happy? The second is already over. No, it's all temporary. All relationships, everything we go to, it will be gone at the time of death. It has no meaning unless we use it in Krishna's service, including the relationship. That is realization. So realization means practical knowledge. That propose, if someone studies all the books of surgery, he has only book knowledge, and then he's going to do his first operation. Who wants to be his patient? No one. You need to learn it from someone who has practiced. You need a practical experience and knowledge. So that is also explained in the Bhagavatam, that evam pranasham manasho first one must become peaceful. Peaceful. If we go back to the verse of today in the purport, yes. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not to be anxious, because when he removes the darkness of his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord. So that is important. Surrender to the Supreme Lord. My Guru Maharaj Bhakti Charamahaj said, when I joined the movement and I surrendered to Prabhupada, I felt very peaceful. I felt assured Srila Prabhupada will take care of me. So that is the peace that comes of surrender. And that peace is required. Evana, evam pranasa manaso, peace, internal peace. That because when you want to develop devotion, when you want to love someone, you first must give attention to that person. If a guest comes and you don't look at him, then the guest will feel neglected. No, you must give attention. Of course, we need first to know Krishna, therefore we hear from Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavatam. And then we need to give attention. And when we can give attention, we can become absorbed in the relationship. And then we can add devotion. Love comes, but first attention. So for this, we must be peaceful. And Krishna consciousness is the process to become undisturbed in the most disturbing circumstances. So that spirit of renunciation can be attained by surrendering to the service, to the mission of the spiritual master. And feeling assured, Krishna will take care of us. And then Bhagavat Bhakti Yogata comes. Then we can start concentrating our attention, give our attention to Krishna. And then Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Then you get realization. The great realization, Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Then you get liberated. So then, how to get these realizations? That is first today about. Theoretical knowledge we can get to the brain. The brain is material, part of the subtle body. But this Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, or this Buddhi Yoga, that we can't get to the brain. It's not possible. When I did my doctorate in philosophy at the University of Wales, I met so many scholars, and many scholars studied Bhagavad Gita. And they knew Bhagavad Gita to a certain extent, but after reading Bhagavad Gita, they could not realize that they were not a body. No practical application, no practical knowledge. So their material IQ was very high, but their spiritual IQ was 0. Spiritual IQ is acquired through the soul to the heart. And Krishna gives it, Tadami Buddhi Yogam Dham. He gives it when he's pleased with us. Then he gives us his mercy. So realization comes from Krishna, given within the heart when he's pleased with us. So that is the difference between Jnana and Vijnana, theoretical and practical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge will not help us. We must come to the level of realized or practical knowledge. And that practical knowledge is realization that Krishna gives to the heart. And he writes in this purport here, Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport very nicely. Even if a devotee is not much philosophically inclined, or he does not take full advantage of his spiritual master, if he's sincere, Krishna will help him from within the heart. But one must be sincere. Then what is sincere? Sincerity is very important. Sincerity lies in our motive. Why I'm doing things. Do I really do everything in my life? If the mission of Srila Prabhupada is it my life and soul? Or do I have all other things to do in this world? So this is a question we can think about. One who has high spiritual IQ, he uses only these temporary things in the eternal service of the Lord. And he surely progresses to the spiritual realm. Because he desires it. Therefore, spiritual intelligence means knowing how to act as a spirit soul and not as the body. That's the difference. Acting as a spirit soul or acting as the body. Acting as a spirit soul means engaging in devotional service. Therefore, it's important to have the practical knowledge. And one of the aspects of this practical knowledge, Srila Prabhupada says, is the dovetailing technique. We have our material nature and you use it in the service of Krishna. So that's an important aspect. That recognizing what's my nature. What's my nature? How can you know what's my material nature? First, what do you like? What do you like to do? That's the first thing. Second thing, what am I good in? These things are determining your nature. I always remember that example of the devotee who came to Prabhupada and said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, please ask me anything. I will do it for you. And Srila Prabhupada replied, what do you want to do for Krishna? And the devotee said, but Prabhupada, whatever you want me to do, I will do it for you. And Prabhupada said, try to understand our philosophy, Srila Prabhupada said. What do you want to do for Krishna? And then the devotee said, I want to make unbreakable mridangas. And he made all these fiberglass mridangas which we use today on our movement. So that's important. Use our nature. Arjuna, you had to use his nature as a fighter in Krishna's service. And we have also our nature. So that requires spiritual intelligence, how to do that, how to use every moment. I have a family, yes, your family, you try to turn them into devotees, that if they are in the process of becoming devotees, then the family becomes a spiritual experience. And you have a house, you have to work for it, yes, but the house has become a temple now. Worship Krishna is there. So you are working for the temple now. So it's different, practical knowledge, and that helps us to advance. But the point is to bring us to devotion. And there you have a point, yes, devotion really starts to develop after liberation. Brahmabhuta Prashnatma Nashosti Nakamsati Samsavesha Bhutsyamat Bhaktim Labate Param. Because liberation is the stage when you do not lament, you do not hanker for anything in this world. So the hankering and lamentation, that's what the mind usually does. That does not disturb you anymore. And you can think straight of Krishna and give your full attention and then your devotion. So that is very good. So after liberation, it's easy to develop the devotion. But does that mean that before I come to that stage, I cannot worship Krishna with pure devotion? That Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you can. But what is the condition that Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion, when one engages in the transcendental service of the Lord with one's body, one's mind, one's words, is considered liberated, says Prabhupada. That's also pure devotee. We may not be on the pure in heart yet, but our motivation and our actions are pure. That if one does that constantly, with body, mind and words, only engage in the service of Prabhupada's mission, Srila Prabhupada, one is considered a pure devotee and liberated. Because the mind is not deviated, even in the conditioned state. And one will become very soon pure. So this is a very important understanding. First, my Guru Maharaj used to say, Krishna consciousness is the best investment. You get the highest profit. That you give everything to Krishna, and what do you get? You get back your eternal existence in blissful Krishna consciousness. The price to pay is ridiculously low to what you get. So we need to pay this price and learn this process very nicely, understand essential principles in Bhagavad Gita and apply them in our lives. Get the realized knowledge. The realized knowledge Krishna gives to the heart, but it's also facilitated by the spiritual master. The spiritual master is liberated, he has done it. We can explain it, how to do it. That therefore taking advantage of the spiritual master is also very helpful in making progress to the ultimate goal, to get free from birth, death, old age and disease. That's the problems of this material life are solved, and go back to our eternal position of love. Because factually, that is what we all want, everyone in this world, to love and to be loved. But if you search in the material realm, you never get it. You must stop searching in the material realm. Prahlad Maharaj said, you will once, as long that when you stop trying to become happy in this world, that's the beginning of your happiness. So, Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any questions, comments, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We don't have any questions in the chat box, but maybe I can start and then we can carry on a bit more and wait for devotees to. This realized knowledge that we talk about, is it realized knowledge by the devotee, or is realized knowledge that's passed on to him? Is the knowledge itself is realized and thus been transferred?
The realization is given by Krishna within the heart, the Dharmi Buddhi Yogam Tam. Every realization is given by Krishna within the heart, but it is facilitated by the spiritual master. The spiritual master makes us aware how to realize this knowledge. He makes us aware of the futility of this material life and the advantages of spiritual practice. But that the realization which causes detachment in the heart and attachment to Krishna is by the mercy of Krishna. And that's what this verse says today. It starts, the translation starts, to show them special mercy. Krishna gives the mercy. I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy the shining lamp of knowledge. Krishna does it. He gives us the way to understand it in a practical sense. And that causes detachment in our heart. And that's realization. If someone, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, we may be easily disturbed by things. But if the same thing, after 30 years practicing Krishna consciousness, we may still disturbed, but very short. Then we let it go. And that's realization. That and it's important that that we understand that realization is given by Krishna, and when Satatam Kirtayantamam, it's Desham Satta Yuktanam, Bhajtam Priti Purvakam, Bhajtam with love, Priti Purvakam, a little love, and Krishna gives us the realization. Of course, to give love, one must give attention first. And to give attention, one must overcome one's offenses. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada stresses these 10 offenses against the holy name, because if one makes these offenses, that takes your attention away. But when you give attention to Krishna and love, then Krishna reciprocates by giving us realizations, yes, that, so, that's what I could say on that point.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Wonderful explanation. So, in practical terms, I mean, I know you went through it quite elaborately, but in for the layman, how will they? How can we know that we are getting spiritual intelligence? I mean, obviously, it takes time. How step by step, how do we know that yes, now we have started receiving spiritual intelligence? Is it because we start serving? Our mood changes, or how do we know that now we're getting spiritual intelligence from Krishna?
Two indicators. Attachment to Krishna increases. One wants only to hear about Krishna or Krishna-related things. Attachment to Krishna increases, and attachment from this world decreases at the same time. That means your interest in sense gratification goes down. That everything you want to do must be in relation to Krishna. You don't want to forget Krishna at every moment. In Nectar of Devotion, there are 9 symptoms of one who has attained the stage of bhava. That's a few of them, yeah. This is in Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion. There, the symptoms, I think that's chapter 17, 18. That first, he's always anxious to utilize his time in devotional service. He does not want to do anything else anymore. It must be with devotion for Krishna. 2, he's reserved and perseverant. That's reserved, yes, only interest in Krishna. And perseverance, yes, is determined in his service. He's always detached from material attraction, so that's the other side. That he does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. He does it just for Krishna, and he gives all the respect to others. Yes. He's always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. So it's great faith. He's always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. Yes. And he's attached to the chanting of the holy name. Wants always to chant the holy name. And he's always very eager to speak about Krishna and his activities, and is attracted to live in holy places like Mathura, Vrindavan. But of course, this is bhava, that's an elevated stage. But even on a lower stage, then what are the symptoms that I am advancing in Krishna consciousness? Krishna gives whole lists in Bhagavad Gita. Whole list. Because in the 14th chapter, Krishna speaks about the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature. And there, Krishna is asking, what are the symptoms of one who is transcendental to the modes of nature? And Krishna gives a whole list. He says, yes, I read a few of them, that he knows that the modes alone are active. He's situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress as the same. Happiness for the body and the mind, or distress, it's all the same. No interest anymore. And he sees a stone and a piece of gold, it's the same, it's matter. Of course we can use it for Krishna, the gold, but that he sees that the same, that is equal to the desirable and the undesirable, good and bad in this world is all the same. He's steady. He will not give up his service. There may be a lot of impediments, but that is equal to both friend and enemy. It doesn't matter. He's renounced to all material activities. So this is one who is transcendentally situated. But then one may say that's still too high for me. How do I know on a lower level that I'm advancing? Krishna asked the same question in the 2nd chapter, that he's asking also for the symptoms of a transcendentalist, that the symptoms of one who has attained divine consciousness. That he said, how does he sit, how does he walk? So it's one who gives up desires for sense gratification. If we try to give it up, that they're knowing they are manogatan concoctions of the mind, that is undisturbed in happiness and distress. It will all pass. That unaffected by praise or good or bad, that another symptom of advancement is, a devotee sees opportunities for sense gratification and he withdraws his senses. No, I don't want this. Devotees do not want to see certain things that are too lusty. And one has understood the futility of this life in this material world. It's all temporary. It's a bad deal, this body. Anyway, these are some points of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives us a hint also how we can see we make progress. Does that help, you think?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Yes, definitely. And another thing was this thing, actually many people have asked me as well. So we know that we are knowing that we are a spirit soul, because Bhagavad Gita tells us that we are spirit soul. Chapter 2, covers it quite widely, that we are spirit soul. Knowing that we are spirit soul and realizing we are a spirit soul. So what is the difference? So when you know you are a spirit soul, then it's still necessary to realize that you're a spirit soul. So what's in between those two things?
Yes,
But
if you know you are a spiritual soul, then you have to learn to act as a spirit soul. So what is acting as the body? We act as the body according to our likes and dislikes. What we like, what gives pleasure to the mind and the senses, that we want to do. And what gives us pain, no. So that is acting on the body platform. But acting as a spirit soul means what's good for my soul, what's bad for my soul. Good is that I become liberated and that I develop this love again, that is there, but it's dormant. I have to develop again. So what is good for that? So therefore, Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami gave us Nectar of Instruction. He said in the first verse, he says you have to control your senses. Then he gives 6 things not to do and 6 things to do. And then how to relate with devotees. That shows us how we should act as a spirit soul in relationship to Krishna. So therefore we follow things not to do. We follow regular 4 regulative principles, things and other things we don't do. And things to do. Things to do. Yes, chanting Hare Krishna, hearing from the spiritual master, 5 most potent items of devotional service, that hearing the scriptures, that chanting the holy name, worship the deity, associating with devotees, prasad, that's our program. And that program is called Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Vaidhi means instructions. Instructions are there in Bhagavad Gita. That instructions are there, and the instructions are there of the spiritual master. Instructions are there in Nectar of Devotion, 64 items of devotional service, 64 important instructions. So these are, and we do this out of duty. Because the spiritual master tells us, you have to chant Hare Krishna, follow the 4 relative principles, and hear from Bhagavad Gita. So we do that out of duty. That's called Vaidhi Sadhana. Following the rules. You do it out of duty. And that will purify the heart. Because why does it purify the heart? Because it pleases Krishna. Following the instructions of the spiritual master pleases Krishna. And then it purifies the heart. And that's the Dhammi Buddhyogantam. Krishna gives us the realizations. And gradually we become pure after certain time if we follow this process nicely. And if we become pure, then we will come to Raganuga. We will become attracted to Krishna. And then it becomes spontaneous. If it becomes spontaneous attracted to Krishna means spontaneous, one loses the interest for this material world. And then this love will develop. So it will become spontaneous. So the question is out of duty or out of love. In the beginning it's out of duty, and later it becomes out of love. But the out of duty is also pleasing Krishna. And so that's the process.
Yeah, very nicely explained, Maharaj. Thank you so much. So, but basically, we have to act on the spiritual platform rather than the material platform as much as possible. Is there? I mean, can we measure it in terms of percentages? Because we still have to, because we're living in the world, we still have to act somewhat in the material platform, because we have to realize that we're not just spirit soul, we are a man or we are a woman, and this is an animal. I have to be careful. From this animal is dangerous. I mean, Lord Chaitanya, he nearly hugged a woman because he was like on a total spiritual platform, not realizing the difference between man and woman. And then his followers had to stop him because that's not something he would do. So sometimes we can't still like 100% act in the spiritual platform all the time. We still have to realize the material platform as well, that yes, I am, this is my position. So how do you understand that, or how should we understand that, Maharaj?
My understanding is not much of importance, but I can tell you what Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita. We have a material and a spiritual svarup. So, 2 duties on the material platform and the spiritual platform. The spiritual platform means we are servant of Krishna, and we engage in service to Krishna. The material platform is our material duty. You are a father, you have your duty towards your children. That you have a duty towards our work. But the material platform, we must learn to spiritualize it. It may not go immediately, but we should slowly spiritualize it. How to do it? I explained the dovetailing technique, but there are many other things to consider. You do your work for Krishna, and you will have challenges. Who does not have challenges in his work? But then, when you have these challenges, you pray to Krishna. And you tell Krishna, you pray to Krishna, please, I'm doing it for you. Please help me, I want to do it first class. Help me to overcome these obstacles. That's a good beginning. I have difficulties, and when we have difficulties, then we remember Krishna. And we take shelter of him. That it's not so difficult in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, we have a lot of karma, bad karma, mostly. Means difficulties. Queen Kuti, she was praying for difficulties. We don't have to do that. They come on their own accord in Kali Yuga, a lot of difficulties. So we can take shelter of Krishna during these times, and Krishna will help us. And that will give us realizations. That helps us to develop our relationship with Krishna, even while doing our material duty. And then when we become more advanced, we think, yes. I think of Bhakti Charamaj, my Guru Maharaj, that he wanted everything first class. He was building the temple in Ujjain. In 11 months it was constructed, but nevertheless everything first class. The marble, the work, the design, everything first class. So if we, Srila Prabhupada in a Prabhupada of the Bhagavad Gita says, we should see our work as Krishna put me in that position to do work for him. And we accept that. If we accept that, then yes, my work is service, so it must be first class. It must be first class. Whatever I do should be first class. And one should endeavor for that, not half work, perfect work, because it's for God, it's for Krishna. It's not ordinary work, Srila Prabhupada says. It's service. So we have to change that in our consciousness, that it should be perfect. That, yes, that also in our service, things should be perfect. That, and that's the hallmark of a devotee. He does things nicely because it's for Krishna. We love Krishna. I want to offer the results of my work, and it must be first class. So these are just a few points that may help us doing our duty to transfer it into devotional service. Does that help?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Maharaj, I have a direct question sent to me from a devotee. He says that it is said that the Lord reveals himself in the heart of a pure devotee. So as you mentioned, that the Lord reveals himself in the heart of a pure devotee. How does one know that something is being revealed by the Lord? What does the devotee experience? And can spiritual knowledge be revealed before reading it in the scriptures? So 2 parts question.
Yeah. So the first part was that how do I know that Krishna reveals things to me, right? That in the conditioned soul state, we don't know. Is it our mind? Is it Krishna? We don't know. You must be a pure devotee to come to that point. But if what Krishna gives you to the heart, to the mind, if that is in agreement with Krishna's instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then we can accept it as an instruction from Krishna from within, if it is in agreement. That's always a test. Sadhu, Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That is the test. Always do the test. Otherwise, it's your mind. So that is the first part of the question, and the second part was?
Is can spiritual knowledge be revealed before reading it in the scriptures?
Yes. Yes, it can. You can get realization before reading it in the scriptures. But you must know how to engage in pure devotional service. If you practice that, you will get, Krishna will give you the realization, and that is what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that. It says, it is in the purport of 10.10 Bhagavad Gita. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities in devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. So that's one quote of Prabhupada. But it says also in the other purport, yeah. And there, Srila Prabhupada says, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. One must be sincere. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. So that is the example of Prabhupada gave many times of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He was in the temple working in a room, side room somewhere. And a visitor came, and he came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and said, Maharaj, can I ask a question? And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, yes, I'm busy now, but in 20 minutes you can come. But in the meantime, you see the pujari there is cleaning the brass paraphernalia for the deities. Please help him. And he went to help him. And half an hour later, Maharaj came to see the man and said, you can ask your question now. And he answered, oh, all the answers came into my mind while I was polishing the brass paraphernalia for the deities. That's interesting. That's quoted by Prabhupada. Yes, but of course, sincere devotional service. Also, for sincere engagement, you must have some preliminary knowledge. You must know who Krishna is, and you must know how to be sincere. Sincere, we explain, is connected with our motivation. Motivation to act only out of love for Krishna, not wanting anything in return. That's pure devotion. Give everything to Krishna, nothing for myself. And mostly with our conditions, because we are conditioned we are not 100% sincere, so it's not so easy to. But if one is sincere, yes, Krishna gives. Hare Krishna. So,
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned about becoming detached from material um attraction, and even it's recommended that especially after 50 we should be detached, although we don't necessarily leave home nowadays. We should become detached from family life, from our loved ones. I mean, how do we do that? How can we become stay at home and become detached from our, what does it mean become detached from our family, wife and children,
yeah,
and our.
that detached means that we shift our attention from this relationship, temporary relationship in this world, to our relationship with Krishna. That can be done in various ways. Various ways. That it's especially recommended. A little difficult now with the COVID situation, but it's recommended that after 50, man and wife can go together to holy places and serve there, perform devotional service in the places where Krishna had his pastimes. That was Srila Prabhupada built. For that purpose, he built a guest house in Vrindavan and Mayapur. Go to these holy places and serve there together. And dedicate your life only to the service. No children anymore, no sense gratification of that just engagement, fully engaged in devotional service. If man and wife together cooperate in that way, if they cooperate, there is no need for separation. But if there is no cooperation, it's better to separate. Then the man should take vanaprastha and the wife also, which can also be done in various ways. But it is compulsory. Death is coming soon. When you are over 50, 60, 70, your days are counted nearly. Then only, maybe 10, 20 years, 30 years left, but that's it. So we must prepare and become more serious in our dedication to make spiritual advancement. So, but that can go gradually. You start with going when you are 45 or when the kids are grown up, then you go together to with the whole month of Kartik in Vrindavan that can do. You can also do it in another way. You stay at home, but you engage, you completely in the mission of you engage yourself completely in the mission of ISKCON in the temple. And that's what you do. The idea is to spend more time, practically all your time, to direct spiritual service and activities. That's important. That, of course, ideal is after vanaprastha one takes sannyas, but this is very rare that I see. As a member of the sannyas ministry, I see all the applicants for the last 20 years, practically all are lifelong brahmacharis. Very rare that someone has gone to grihastha life. But those who have gone to it, to grihastha life, and then take to sannyas life on an elderly age, they are very nice sannyasis. They have got the experience of family life and can guide others more better because they have experience of family life. That's yeah. But yes, we must become serious and consider these points when we are over 50. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in other words, spend as much time as possible on your spiritual life, and you can either help your local temple, or you can go to the holy dhams and help out there, spend more time there. In other words, dovetail your attention to spiritual activities more and more. But as you get older, you're not so mobile, you're not so strong, you're not so energetic. So it's not that it, it's not that easy to do that as well, Maharaj. With a younger life, you are a bit more dynamic. You can do these things. With elder age, maybe not so much. Maybe after 65, 70, you're not so much full of energy and able to do tasks as you could do earlier. And now devotees, who've been cooking in the temple for last 30 years or so, but they're not so easily for them to cook now. So what in other words, what should they do different things, because they're not able to do those, a variety of jobs that they could do before, or something they enjoy doing, or something that was in the nature to do, they're not able to do anymore because they're getting a little bit old for those tasks. What should they do?
Yeah, that, well, like, first I would say meditate on Prabhupada. He started really his mission in practice in the West when he was 70. So was that too old? No. Yeah, so it was not easy. He, he went a few times in the hospital in New York and so on, but he, he depended on Krishna and did his best. So the Prabhupada is our best example. Um, Secondary, yes, if we are limited to health conditions and so on, then we have to adapt our situation. But still, there is sufficient scope to engage fully in Krishna's service always. Can read his books, hear lectures, like we were now in the COVID-19 pandemic and all this, all this, yeah, internet classes and so on. You can engage yourself the whole day and you cook for Krishna and see what you can do for the temple from home. So many things you can do. We should look at it. Of course, hopefully the situation becomes better. And I've been practically in one place for more than a year, but now it's opening up to go back to London for a few weeks in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to Germany, is planned, Czech Republic, and back to the Ukraine and Bulgaria. So in Europe, it's opening up gradually. It's a bit more difficult traveling, but yes, we are. Prahlad Maharaj always said to me, we are servant of the circumstances that Krishna gives us, and that's it. We must accept. But devotional service is not material. Nobody can stop you to do the devotional service. That's because it's with the heart, with the mind practiced. So we have to see according to the situation what Krishna gives us, what we can do, and do our best according to these situations. But there are always alternatives. Sure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you much. Okay, I have a private question. Is that these realizations that we get from time to time, which hopefully increase as our knowledge develops, how can we use those realizations to advance in our spiritual life?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So we get these realizations, keep them in your heart, write them down. You can write them down or you can keep them. And spiritual life in the material world it's like on a boat which is going up and down. It's going up and down, up and down. Some you are up, some you are down. When you are down, then read these realizations again. Remember them. It will bring you up again. And that's what, so yes, in that way, that can help us. Keep them, treasure them. Like Maharaj Pariksit, he saw Krishna in the womb as super soul, protecting him, and he never could forget him. Because it was a transcendental experience which is eternal. Therefore he could not forget during his life. In his whole life he was remembering that and getting power from it. Like you have also Ajamil, he got 3 benefits after he had this near-death experience and he saw the Vishnu Duttas. That one of the benefits he got is he saw these Vishnu Duttas, which were like Narayan, Krishna, and he could not forget them anymore. So that is very, yeah, does that help?
Definitely, definitely. Beautiful answer, Maharaj. There's a question, I think it's a question from Vinod Manjari Mataji. She says, thank Maharaj, obeisances all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Dayanand Prabhu did Mansa Seva when his health was very bad. He meditated on making the Rath carts. So in advanced age, one can still do Mansa Seva. Guru Maharaj told us that make your home into a temple, so 24 hours you can do Seva. So very nice statement there.
Yeah.
Mataji.
Yeah, and that is a very nice comment, that 24-hour seva, that manasa seva, you must be a little advanced to do it, but it's, the example is in Nectar of Devotion, the devotee who, in Nectar of Devotion, this Brahman who was so poor that he could not buy food, and he was meditating on preparing sweet rice for the Lord in his meditation. In his meditation, then he put his finger in the sweet rice to see if it cooled down already sufficient, because sweet rice is more tasty when it's cool, and he burnt his finger, and he was surprised, and the Lord Narayan Vaikuntha was smiling. So whatever situation, we can do Manasa Seva, that's certainly that in deep absorption, that it's, but mostly I've seen devotees when they are becoming invalid or incapacitated, they can't move anymore and so on, that they get this realization, this absorption, or this power to remain absorbed in Krishna. But of course that comes when we take shelter of Krishna during our lives. Learn to take shelter of Krishna at every moment, and then that will be easy in an advanced age. That yes, when our health goes bad, we can do this Manasa Seva. There's no bar in doing devotional service. Thank you, Mother Vinod Manjai. Very nice comment.
Right. Thank you, Maharaj. Anybody else has any questions or comments, please put them in the box now. Otherwise, we're going to go to the next stage of the program. Maharaj, thank you so much. Wonderful class, beautiful answers. Maharaj, would love to hear Narsinga pray from you. I just want to make a few announcements, if that's okay with you, Maharaj.
Please do.
So, where have they disappeared? As usual. Okay, Maharaj, just give me a second. Lost the announcements. Okay, here we are. Okay, we have question and answer session on Tuesday. We devotees 7:30 till 8 p.m. Friday, Srimad Bhagavatam and attentive japa class, 8 a.m. till 9 a.m. That's Friday morning. And we're talking about pure devotion from Canto 2. Sunday Sangha next week, 3rd of June, is with His Grace Gaura Natraj Prabhu from Las Vegas. And we're talking about the crucial role of Grihastas in a spiritual society. So we're talking about the Grihastas in spiritual society. And there's also a Sanskrit course starting next week. Saturdays 10 till 11 a.m. starting 12th of June. It's for 6 weeks. The cost is only £20. And please contact Mayapur Prabhu or College of Vedic Studies, Birmingham.com. You can register on there. So do that. Sounds very, very interesting. And also, as the Mayapur Prabhu mentioned, that we are now also doing this end of life sport to provide spiritual comfort, assistance to families when losing a loved one. So a wonderful service there. So thank you so much, Rashtraj Prabhu and Mayapur Prabhu, for that. And right, okay, Jai. So now we're back with Maharaj and for Narsimha Arti. Jai Maharaj. Here you go.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Hiranyakasipo Vakshaha. Hiranyakasipo Vakshaha. Silatankanakalaya. Silatankanakalaya. Etanashinga Paratanashinga. Etanashinga Paratanashinga. Yata yata yami tatanashinga. Yata yata yami tatanashinga. Bahe nashinga hidaye nashinga. Bahe nashinga hidaye nashinga. Me singa Nrsingadev ki, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki, Sri Gaura Premanande. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for making time. Thank you for your mercy on ISKCON Birmingham and joining us today. Always love your association and looking forward to hearing you once more very, very soon. So I'm going to give you 3 Hari Bols, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai. Thank you, Maharaj. See you very soon. Hare Krishna. And thank you all so much for joining. We'll catch up again next week. Jai.